The monster study. In 1939, researchers at the University of Iowa wanted to answer a simple question: what causes stuttering? To find out, they gathered a group of orphaned children. Some of the children spoke normally. Others already had speech difficulties. The researchers divided them into groups. One group received praise and encouragement. The other group received constant criticism. Even when the children spoke perfectly, they were told something was wrong. They were told they stuttered. They were told they should be embarrassed. Day after day, week after week, the results were disturbing. Many of the children became anxious and withdrawn. Some developed speech problems they hadn't had before. The study became known as the monster study, not because of what it discovered, but because of what it did to the children. Little Albert. In 1920, psychologists wanted to prove that fear could be created, so they chose their test subject, a 9-month-old baby. His name was Albert. At first, Albert was completely fearless. Researchers showed him a white rat. He smiled. He played with it. Nothing unusual. Then they changed the experiment. Every time Albert touched the rat, the researchers struck a steel bar behind him with a hammer. The sound was terrifying. Albert cried. Again and again, they repeated the process. Soon, Albert became terrified of the rat, but it didn't stop there. His fear spread. The baby eventually became frightened of rabbits, dogs, fur coats, and even Santa Claus masks. The experiment had successfully created fear where none existed before, and nobody knows what happened to Albert afterward. To this day, historians still debate his true identity and what impact the experiment had on the rest of his life. Stanford Prison Experiment. In 1971, psychologist Philip Zimbardo created a fake prison inside Stanford University. The participants were ordinary college students. Half became prisoners, half became guards. Everything was supposed to be a simulation. Nothing more. At first, things seemed normal. Then the guards began becoming aggressive. The prisoners became stressed, humiliated, powerless. The guards started inventing punishments. Some became cruel. Others became sadistic. The situation spiraled so quickly that researchers were shocked. The experiment was scheduled to last 2 weeks. It was shut down after only 6 days. Because what started as a role play began feeling frighteningly real. The experiment became famous worldwide. But years later, critics argued that the results may have been influenced by the researchers themselves. The third wave. In 1967, a high school teacher in California faced a problem. His students couldn't understand how ordinary people could support authoritarian regimes, so he decided to show them. He created a classroom movement called the Third Wave. At first, it seemed harmless. Students followed simple rules. They sat properly. They answered questions in a specific way. Participation increased. Excitement grew. Then things got strange. Students began reporting each other. Some became obsessed with the movement. Membership rapidly expanded beyond the classroom. Within days, hundreds of students had joined. The experiment had taken on a life of its own. The teacher eventually revealed the truth. There was no movement, no leader, no greater purpose. The entire thing had been an experiment, and many students were shocked by how easily they had been swept into it. Project MKUltra. During the Cold War, the CIA became obsessed with one question: could the human mind be controlled? The answer led to one of the most controversial programs in American history, Project MKUltra. For years, the CIA conducted secret experiments involving hypnosis, psychological manipulation, sensory deprivation, and drugs. Many participants didn't even know they were part of an experiment. Some were given substances without their consent. Others were subjected to extreme psychological testing. Much of the program remained hidden for decades. Then, in the 1970s, details finally began emerging. Public reaction was immediate. People couldn't believe the government had carried out experiments like these. Even today, MKUltra remains one of the most infamous secret programs ever revealed. Unit 731. During World War II, the Japanese military operated a secret research program known as Unit 731. Officially, it was a research facility. In reality, it became one of the darkest chapters in human history. Prisoners were subjected to horrific experiments. Researchers tested the effects of extreme temperatures. They studied diseases. They conducted procedures that most people struggle to even read about. Thousands suffered. Many never left alive. For decades, much of the world knew very little about what had happened there. When details eventually emerged, historians were horrified. Even today, Unit 731 is considered one of the most disturbing examples of unethical human experimentation ever documented.